Hey nerds, and welcome to Flash, Theories, and Conspiracies. I'm Brian from Good Nerd Bad Nerd. So this week, after 20 episodes, we finally get the reveal of the big villain, and I can't. We'll get to that. But first, let's talk about the highlights of this episode. Ultimately, the biggest highlight of this episode was Killer Frost. They did such an amazing job with her. Her new costume was great. The way she was using her powers, whether it was the daggers or Iceman's ice slide, which is not something she does in the comics really, but it was great. This is probably the best use of ice powers we've seen on TV or movies, because they really haven't used them very well in the X-Men movies. But Killer Frost was great. She was fantastic. If this was just a Killer Frost episode and we didn't have the Savitar thing at the end, this would have been a fantastic episode. Continuing on that, there is a trope in this episode that you could see coming a mile away. When Joe is breaking up with Cecile, and then the knock on the door and it's Killer Frost there. This is a very common thing where the villain outs, one way or another, outs the hero. Because of this, Cecile puts it together that Barry is Kid Flash and Joe actually, or Barry is the Flash. She really essentially does put it together, and Joe has to, really tell her everything. And this is how Wally learned that Barry was the Flash. If you remember at the end of season 2, when Zoom shows up and kills his dad, and then Barry takes off after him, that's when Wally's like, oh my gosh, Barry's the Flash. So this is a very common thing, not just for Flash, but for a lot of shows that they do this where the villain is... Yeah. So all that to say, great episode. The stuff with Juliet and Cisco wasn't... It felt really forced. I liked Cisco's conflicting issues, but their conflict was a little forced. But all in all, this was Caitlin Killer Frost episode, and she was fantastic. Next, I had an idea or a theory about one of the things that's kind of fallen out of view for a while, and that is HR being there at the night of Iris's death. We know he is up on the roof with a gun, and the idea came about that what if that gun was actually the launch mechanism for the speed trap? What if this is the delivery mechanism that they are going to use to trap Savitar in the Speed Force? HR has a very close relationship with the doctor, or the physicist, and it's possible that she, finishes it, gives it to HR to get out there and to try and stop Savitar before killing Iris. That's kind of my speculation on what he's doing there with that gun, because otherwise it doesn't really make sense what he's doing up there, because he's not a fighter per se. So what do you guys think about that? Because that's kind of fallen out of focus for a while, but it was such a intentional thing that they added that there's got to be a reason for it. So that's my theory on that. Now the last thing. Savitar, I guess spoilers, but if at this point, if you don't know, you're not watching this, but Savitar is Barry. And this is so annoying. I'm annoyed by this because they've built this up so much, and at a certain point all of us are like, yeah, it's Barry. And like, no, it's not Barry. Watch, we're going to go to the future. It's not Barry. It's future Barry or something, right? I mean, is it Flashpoint Barry? Like the future Flashpoint Barry, and when present Barry killed Flashpoint, did that put future Barry into the Speed Force? Is it a multiverse, different dimension Barry? Is it an alternate timeline? What is going on? Because here's some of the issues I have. He doesn't look that much older. So if it is future Barry, this must have happened where he became Savitar really quickly after Barry was in the future. Now, the tone of his voice sounds very similar, actually, to the tone of voice we heard come from Barry in that warning. If you remember the Dominator's Invasion crossover, 4-part crossover thing, 3.5, the guys from the Legends of Tomorrow, they had a warning, a future warning from Barry from 2056, and the tone of voice is pretty similar, but he doesn't look like he's 30 years older than future Barry that we met. So it seems really unlikely that that is that Barry. It's so frustrating. I think, honestly, what makes the most sense to me is that this is a future Barry from a similar point in time, 2024, approximately around then, but from the Flashpoint universe. This is why he really was very familiar with the Flashpoint universe. So it would take away any possibility of an alternate dimension or anything like that. But it would also then make sense why he has such a grudge against this Barry Allen. This Barry Allen destroyed that timeline and killed everyone he loved, his parents, his family, Iris, everything. Everything was destroyed when Earth Zero, Earth Prime non-Flashpoint Barry rewrote that timeline. So that is kind of my best guess at which Barry Allen this is. And if it's not that, then this is the weakest excuse for a villain ever. At least with that, at least with it being the Flashpoint future Barry, you can understand why he would kill Iris, why he would want to destroy everyone in Earth One Barry's world. So what do you guys think? Who do you think it is? Who do you think it is? Which Barry Allen do you think it is? Multiverse Barry Allen, alternate timeline Barry Allen, future Barry Allen? And what did you think of it? Was this satisfying? Would you have preferred it with someone else like Ronnie? Never. Let me know what you guys think down below, and don't forget to check out my other theories on Supergirl and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and don't forget to check out my weekly podcast. You can find it on iTunes or over at the old Good Nerd Bad Nerd website. So until next week, guys, I'm Brian from Good Nerd Bad Nerd, and this has been Flash, Theories, and Conspiracies.